Hello everyone, welcome to the session Safety Data Exchange Agreements and Pharmacovigilance Agreements. The foundation for global pharmacovigilance compliance, presented by our company, that is Global Placo Solutions. This training session is mainly designed for all the professionals from the drug safety and pharmacovigilance, regulatory affairs, quality assurance, clinical and medical affairs team, and team leaders and managers. Also, the senior management or top management leaders, that is for the directors and the vice presidents. And I am the trainer and the speaker. Just a quick introduction and my credentials. I am Dr. Sriparaj JR and I am the founder and CEO of the company called Global Placo Solutions. Overall 18 years of experience in pharmacovigilance, regulatory affairs and quality assurance. I am a consultant and advisor for more than 30 plus clients, mainly in the pharma and biotech. I have performed more than 200 plus GVP audits, 150 plus benefit risk assessment reports, and signal identification for more than 100 products, and implementation of risk management plans or risk evaluation and mitigation strategy for 50 plus products. Let's see the agenda and objectives of the session. Overview and definitions of SDEAs and PVAs. Understand the purpose and scope. Learn the key components. Roles and responsibilities of MAH or sponsors. Explore implementation and execution strategies. Finally, identify some common problems and solutions. Before I start with the session, there were a lot of emails and messages on LinkedIn asking for some sessions on SDEA and PVAs. So this will be a free session which is conducted. We also provide the training, hands-on training on DSUR, PSUR, PBRER, signal detection and management, risk management plans or REMS, as well as PSMF. This session is important for your interview preparation, and also if you are in the SDEA department or PV agreements where you draft the agreements for various clients and you want to learn more about the agreements in detail. Now coming to the main core part of the training. What are SDEAs and PV agreements? As the name suggests, Safety Data Exchange Agreement. It's a legal contract between two or more parties outlining the responsibilities and timelines for pharmacovigilance activities, especially in relation to the exchange of safety data. So whenever we talk about SDES, it is very important to note that at minimum of two parties would be required to execute this agreement, where one of the parties will be always the MAH or the sponsor, and the other party can be either a licensed partner or a distributor, importer, or a CRO or a vendor. So here the most important part is SDEA is there is a flow of the data from different parties. So that is why the name Safety Data Exchange Agreement. Coming to the Pharmacovigilance Agreement, it is a broader term encompassing agreements that define responsibilities for all pharmacovigilance activities throughout the product life cycle. The pharmacovigilance agreements are mainly implemented for the CROs or the consulting firms where you have a set of activities or full scope activities which you have outsourced to the vendor or the CRO, and there is not much of data flow happening, and most of the responsibilities are carried out by the vendors or CROs itself. These two agreements are very important and very critical for global compliance, because if there are no agreements, it is always a problem where you don't understand or there are no clearly defined responsibilities of who does what, and to avoid confusions and the blame game, that which party is responsible for which activity. So these documents ensure clear accountability and regulatory compliance. Coming to who needs an SDEA or PV agreements. As I mentioned before, marketing authorization holders, these are the companies where they obtain the marketing authorization, the license or the permission where they can market, distribute the products, the sponsors, affiliates, licensing partners, importers and distributors, CROs, as well as consulting firms. In short, all parties dealing with the PV activities must have an agreement which clearly defines the roles and responsibilities, as well as the terminologies used, along with the expectations from the partners. So when and why are they needed? In pre and post marketing scenarios where you have not yet received the marketing authorization or the approval of the product, so whether it is in clinical trial stage or if you have already received the approval, both the cases you need the SDAs and PV agreements. The reason I have already told you. Commercialization, that is what the marketing approval or the authorization means, and non-commercial partnerships where the parties are not selling your products but still they are involved with the management of the data, or if they are collecting ICSRs or any other PV activities related to it. Finally, the most important is the regulatory requirements. It is a mandatory requirement, a legal requirement for the EU, US, the UK, and as per the applicable local or global regulatory requirements. So the key regulatory expectations, that is, you can find the requirement in EU GVP modules, that is 1, 2, 5, 6 and 8. So all these GVP modules, they mention about the contractual agreement or a written agreement that must be in place for the companies, and the reference from the FDA, that is 21 CFR part 314.80 600.80, ICH guidelines, that is E2E and E2D, and of course as per the applicable local authority requirements. In case if you are marketing in India, still there is a requirement under the MAH responsibilities. It is a requirement to have such agreements, and depending on the products and the territory where you are marketing the products, you need to go through the local regulatory requirements, and irrespective of whether it is mentioned or not, it is always a good practice to have one SDEA or PV agreement in place. So what are the contents of an effective SDEA or PVS? So ideally, if you are writing a SDEA, it will be around 3 to 5 pages where you mention the parties and the stakeholders, the products and the territories, the roles and responsibilities matrix. So I want to make one thing very clear here in terms of SDEA, PVAs, PV clauses. Different companies, they use different terminologies, and many would argue that both are same. SDEA, PVAs, PV clauses, all are same. Of course, they are all same, but based on my experience, expertise, knowledge, I always prefer to have SDEA for the partners, the importers, distributors, license partners, and affiliates where there are multiple parties involved and the data flow is happening. So whenever you take a distributor, the distributor markets and sells the products. So you might receive the ICSRs from the distributor, which will be then forwarded to the MAH, and MAH may also forward those reports to a CRO. So multiple parties are involved. So I prefer to have safety data exchange agreement. If in case we have outsourced all the PV activities to a CRO, I prefer to have PV agreements where you have one agreement which clearly mentions and defines all the PV activities they are carrying out, and I am using these two terminologies so that it is very clear during the audits. At the same time, the MAH and other parties are also aware that what are the terminologies used. So SDEA, PV agreements as well as PV clauses or PV agreements are all one and the same, but the only difference is how you implement for which partner and what is the main objective of the agreement. So under the roles and responsibilities matrix, there are few things which are very mandatory to include. That is the training process. Whenever you implement SDEA or PV agreements, always include the training process, that is for the staffs, PV staffs and non-PV staffs. For example, receptionist who handles calls from PV, and also the sales staff who sells, markets or distributes the product. They must be also aware of the SDEA requirements. In case if they receive any safety report, which can be an ICSR or literature or any other safety report, they should be knowing whom to contact and how to forward it. The next thing is the ICSR exchange and timelines. This must be very well documented and make it very clear in the agreement that who receives the ICSRs and within how many days, and what is the information required, who does the follow-up, and which party does the data entry or case processing, and who is responsible for the submission or regulatory reporting. That must be very well documented or make it very clear in the agreement. When it comes to PVA, or if it is outsourced to any vendors or a third party, that time you can also include, if you have outsourced the periodic or aggregate reporting, you should also mention who will be the person who takes care of the drafting and submissions, and whether any local inputs are required from distributor, importer or a license partner if it is in different territories. This must be made very clear, and the submission timelines, including whether you consider EURD dates or any other dates coinciding with the different countries, and also who will draft the report and where the quality review is happening, and the final submission will be done by which party. Also, if there are any questions from the health authorities or health authority requests, who will answer them and what is the process for it. So last two is the archiving and the data retention as well as audits and inspections. In this archiving data retention, you must clearly mention that how the reports, safety reports or PV reports, training records are archived, whether it is electronic or paper records, where do you save them and how to retrieve it, and for how many years or how long, what is the duration. And regarding the audits and inspection, you have to make it very clear that whenever there is an audit, internal audit or a regulatory inspections are happening, That time it must be informed to the MAH, and during the audits if there are any findings, and the audit report must also be sent to the MAH, and if there are any inspections which are conducted, that must be informed to the MAH so that they can also contribute or help them with any documentation required from the MAH. So the contents of an effective SDEA or PVAs can go up to starting from 3 to 5 pages to 8 to 10 pages. I have done many agreements which are more than 8 to 10 pages. If the activities are more, if there are multiple activities, full scope activities like ICSR, processing, literature, the periodic or aggregate reports, signal detection and management, RMPs, all this will include, the content will be more, so it will be 8 to 10 pages of agreements. So to have an effective SDEA or PVAs, always define parties, products, territories, roles and responsibilities matrix. This is the most important question usually asked in the interview. What are the contents of the SDEA? Please mention the below points. Coming to how to implement, what should be the implementation strategy? So before implementing an SDEA, it is imperative to conduct a gap analysis with all your internal SOPs, working guidelines, work instructions, reference documents, and the regulatory requirements. Go through all your SOPs and find out if there is a gap with the local regulatory requirements. Then is the drafting and negotiation that involves regulatory affairs, quality assurance, legal team, and of course PV is always involved because it's a SDE or PV agreement. So PV department is the most important part. They will be contributing the complete agreement and ensure that all departments are aware of the requirements and the agreement will be in place. Finally, assign the document ownership, do the quality review, the quality assurance review, and finalize the timelines and the sign off procedures. After drafting and signed off with the agreements, the next step is to distribute. So once the agreements are distributed, either you can ask them to train the agreement and then make it effective, or you can send the agreement and ask them to have a training record where they have read and understood all the terms and conditions of the agreement and it is very clear to them about the roles and responsibilities. Ensure that SOPs support the agreement terms. Also have a periodic review meeting with partners initially in the first 2-3 months. If there is any confusion, ambiguities, or if something is not clear, or if they are not able to carry out certain responsibilities, that can be again modified or changed as per the requirement, and maintain a documentation for compliance and audit readiness. Conduct oversight checks and CAPA management, where in this the MAH has to constantly oversee whether the distributors or the partners who are involved and the stakeholders involved in these agreements are following all the terms and conditions, or if they are well versed with the roles and responsibilities and all the activities are carried out. In case if they are not doing so, then initiate the CAPAs and make sure that there is a proper oversight from the MAH. Coming to common issues, problems or pitfalls and how to avoid them. As per my experience from audits, consulting experience, most of the SDAs are incomplete. They are either lacking certain critical information, like they don't mention about RMS and CMS territories. RMS is the reference member state, CMS is the concerned member state. This must be mentioned along with where the product is authorized and where in which territories the products are being marketed, distributed or sold, and also the list of the products must be updated as and when there is a change in the product list. There are many agreements where they don't update the product list and the products were not manufactured or not yet in the distribution. They have not updated the product list. This is one of the main finding during the audit. And also many a times I have seen that the distributors, they have very minimum knowledge on PV process. Many of the distributors are focused on the sales and marketing. They don't focus much on the PV processes. So many of the distributors, they do not carry out the roles and responsibilities, and few of the partners or the stakeholders, they always think that it is not our responsibility, it is done by the MH. So this ambiguity must be addressed, and this will ensure that the distributors or the partners, they are very well versed with the requirements. So the common issues, for example, missing timelines, that is the ICSR exchange. So it should be mentioned in the document where how is the ICSR collected, who does the follow-up, and after they receive the minimum information, within how many days they need to forward it to the MAH and to which email box, and who does the further case processing, and also whether local submission would be required from the same distributor or the MAH will do the submission. So the timelines must be clearly mentioned, because if we have fatal or life-threatening or any serious cases, non-serious cases, this must be ensured that it is in line with the local regulatory expectation. Usually it is 15 and 90 days. So within this 15 days, it has to go back and forth for the case processing, then quality review, medical review, then come back. If there are any follow-ups, add the missing information. All these things must be clearly mentioned. This is the most common finding during the audit. There is no day zero which is defined. Many of them think that you can send it after 3 days or 4 days, or whenever you feel that you have sufficient information. That should not be the case. You need to forward whatever the minimum information you have received should be forwarded it to the MH. Also, I have seen in the agreement that regulatory submissions, they assume that local, as per the local regulatory, for example, if you take Italy or Spain or Germany, there are different requirements, and the regulatory authority requires the submission in the local language. So it must be made very clear in the agreement that the local submission must be done by the local distributor or license partner or an affiliate, or if it is handled by the CRO, it must be made sure that they do the local submission. It is not from the MH. So many a times the common discrepancies or issues arise from incomplete agreement, not writing clear roles and responsibilities. Coming to the cross-functional teams, the role of cross-functional teams. There is a coordination required among PV, regulatory affairs, quality assurance, clinical, medical affairs, and legal teams. During my online free session, one of the member asked me about what is the role of legal team. The legal team will ensure that the MAH and the distributor parties name, legal name is correct, the address, and all the terms are legally written well. There is no ambiguity, and the terms and conditions are enforceable, and the document is very clear and concise. And also it is important for internal alignment and communication, otherwise there will be a problem in receiving the reports and lack of compliance. Audit readiness, one of the most important thing in the SDEAs. Always do audits at least once in 2 years, to internal audits mainly, to check if they are carrying out all the activities as per the SDEA, and also mention in the PSMF, refer mention the references of the agreement in the PSMF, and also audit the partners and vendors whether all the ICSRs are submitted on time, PSUR reports, periodic reports or aggregate reports, whether any signals were identified, not identified, whether it was informed to the MAH. So this all comes under the MAH oversight. So finally, the summary and key takeaways. Till now, we understood what are the requirements of the SDEA, what are the parties involved, and how and when they are needed. SDEAs and PVAs are considered critical compliance tools. They are the most important. Ensure alignment with all stakeholders. Monitor execution and update regularly, and stay audit ready. Most of them, they send me message on LinkedIn and Facebook, on Instagram and various other platforms where they speak about they are only doing ICSRs, they are not getting good opportunities in terms of roles, or if they want to uh, move up in the career. So here in our paid program, I will be conducting this paid program which will be announced on LinkedIn and Facebook. You will be writing the complete SDEA for one of the partner or the stakeholder, that is the license partner. I will be guiding you to write the complete SDEA step by step, and also one PV agreement for the CROs or the vendors. This will be a workshop which will be conducted for the EU, US and Indian candidates, where they are, if they are interested to learn more about this, how to identify a regulatory clause and how to adopt it. And the SDA is, many of them have commented on my post on SDA. Few of the times they mentioned, can you please share a template or format, or do you have any document where we can write the report, or the kind of report where you just change certain things. So just to make it very clear to you that there is no template or format which is provided by the regulatory guidelines, EU GVP modules or FDA. They all mention about that having a contractual agreements or written procedures is mandatory, or it is a legal binding thing for the MAH. So here it is always the customization depending on the type of the party, roles and responsibilities involved. You need to write the SDEA or PV agreement depending on the roles and responsibilities as required by the local regulations. It is not that one size fits all, where you copy paste most of the contents and just change the name of the company or distributor. It is written as per the distributors, importers, licensing partners. If in case you are writing for a licensing partner, you also need to include what is the type of licensing agreement they have, and the responsibilities will automatically increase if they are a licensed partner. There will be a lot of other contents involved, for example reconciliation, literature, all this needs to be included. If it is just a distributor, you can just mention about the training and ICSR follow-ups, and also the archiving or data retention. So it is always based on the customization, roles and responsibilities, and the type of the party involved. So in this paid workshop, you will be also learning the real case study walkthroughs, like how best you can write the most effective SDEAs or PV agreements. I follow certain template which I have prepared, we have prepared for many of the clients. So what are the SOPs required, and what is the checklist for the SDEA and PV? So templates will be provided to you in this program. If anybody is interested, they can just connect with us and join the training workshop. So till now, if you found the training video informative and helpful and interested to take next step, you can always email us to contact us at globalplacosolutions.com. Our training team will get in touch with you. We will also announce the training on LinkedIn and Facebook. You can join the session, and since it will be a hands-on and very one-to-one kind of a session where everybody will be drafting the report, sorry, not the report, agreement along with me. So it will be very limited number of candidates, where 3 to 5 candidates who are seriously interested to learn and want to uh, learn more about SDEA or PV agreements. And also, if you are a consultant who wants to help clients with the agreements, this will be the best option you can go for. So if you are interested, you can just email us and we will get in touch with you. Thank you all for watching this video. You can follow me on LinkedIn and YouTube channel. I hope so you are watching on the YouTube video. So this is our YouTube channel. Please share it with your friends who are looking for some informative content on pharmacovigilance, and I will also be making many other videos, real practical videos on DSURs, PSURs, PVRERs, signal management, RMP, PSMF, and quality assurance related to audits. Most of the content will be coming soon, and I would like to thank you again for watching this video.